This is the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on April 28th, 2017, a Friday. Our time is 8:40 Mountain. Today, we are on prior to the Oilers face-off show. Oilers Ducks, 5 o'clock tonight at Rogers Place. Good luck to the Oilers. We're on prior to the face-off show. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Don't forget, if you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You'll find our podcast there. As we tape today's program, the Canadian dollar at 73 cents. It has dropped a penny since we spoke to you last week. It was around 74. Today it's around 73. And we have information, once Harold gives us his commentary about the Canadian dollar, and there are experts talking about a 50 cent Canadian dollar. Hard to believe. But Harold, we've said for quite some time, get money into U.S. dollars that are paying you, obviously, in U.S. dollars, dividends, interest, because the Canadian dollar is going to weaken, and we continue to see that this week.
You bet, Randy. Again, this is a trend that we've been on for quite a long time now. Don't forget, it wasn't all that long ago that the Canadian and American dollars were even. Now you've got the Canadian dollar down, 25% from where it was a few years ago. So this is going to continue. We've been saying for an awful long time to get out of Canadian dollar-based investments and get some money into U.S. dollar-based investments. The most conservative way to do this is just to convert Canadian to American. If we're correct on this, which I'm 99.9% sure that we are, you could basically see about a 30 or 40% return on your dollar over the next couple of years. So what we anticipate is going to happen, right now, it takes 1,370 Canadian dollars to buy $1,000 American. Within the foreseeable near future, it's going to cost you $2,000 Canadian to get $1,000 American. And to just hear that and do nothing about that is a mistake, because there's an opportunity to make an awful lot of money with that. Even on a conservative basis, we did this many, many years ago when the euro first came out at 87 cents, and we just conservatively recommended that our clients convert Canadian dollars into euros, and it doubled in price within just over a year. So we did extremely well, and this is another opportunity to do something similar. However, my company also has private investments that are alternative asset base-wise. They're in rough diamonds type of things. That's our business. We deal a lot in the rough diamond market, and basically we allow our clients to invest with us. Sure, you have to convert your Canadian dollars to American, and at this point you're going to take about a 25% whack on it. However, you'll make 75% return just on the currency if we're correct, which I'm positive that we are, along with the fact that our investments are paying over 25% a year. So if you're sitting in Canadian dollars right now in your retirement savings plan, or if you're sitting in Canadian stocks, or just sitting in Canadian dollars, you need to give me a call, because there's an opportunity to make a tremendous amount of money. But if you sit there and don't do anything, it's going to hurt you tremendously. Don't forget what happened in 2016 with Brexit, when Britain exited the European Union, and people that did nothing lost 25% of their net worth in one day, just on the trading of the currencies. I've traded currencies for over 35 years and have called some of the most amazing market trends in currencies, in metals, and in oil. But we see a huge move coming in the American-Canadian dollar, and if you just sit there and do nothing, then shame on you, because you've got an opportunity to make an awful lot of money. The other situation that we're looking at right now is a potential big move coming in the gold market. So the fact is that normally with a strong U.S. dollar, the gold market is weak. However, we see a situation with President Trump in office right now, and the fact that he's very seriously thinking of going to war against North Korea. We could literally have a situation like we did back in the 80s when the U.S. dollar is strong and gold is strong at the same time. In fact, I'm predicting that as a very strong potential move, and at this particular point, within the next week to 2 weeks, we have a tremendous opportunity for our clients in gold. So if you want information on a new program in gold, call, and it's totally free information to you. What you'll literally be able to do is buy physical kilos of gold from us at no commissions and no spread. And if you would like, we'll even trade that market for you at no commission charge. So if you'd like information on the next upcoming bull market in gold, you need to get in contact with us ASAP, because as soon as this situation escalates in North Korea, we could literally see the price of gold explode, possibly up to the $2,000 level. But again, don't leverage your positions. Don't finance your positions. Only outright metal, and we're the only company that can really do that and trade it for you. Again, we're not charging our Canadian clients commission on these kilos of gold, but you need to get in touch with me ASAP, because again, during this week, we did see President Trump call an emergency meeting for all senators, Democrats and Republicans, to talk about the potential upcoming war or aggressions against North Korea. If that does happen and we're not in the market, then that's going to be a problem, because we need to catch this next move. And again, it's going to be a phenomenon. We're going to see a strong U.S. dollar and a strong gold market at the same time. Please call for free information on the gold market and on our opportunity to convert Canadian to American dollars and take advantage of the programs that we have. Again, we could be moving into some interesting times and some opportunities to make an awful lot of money, which are really not present at this time. Let's face it, with interest rates trading at 0.5% and soon going to go negative, you can't make any money keeping your money in the bank. The stock market, even though the U.S. market is up, is very volatile. 90% of the people that trade stocks and mutual funds lose their money. All you have to do is look back and see how your retirement savings plan has traded over the last 10 years, and you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. If you just sit there and don't do anything in this type of marketplace, then you're, number one, missing out on an opportunity to make an awful lot of money, and number two, you're putting yourself in a position to where you could lose a major part of your net worth. There are major changes coming in the world financial markets. You know, the fact is that we're going to have negative interest rates in Canada within the next couple of years, or even less than that. So again, if you don't understand what that is, that means normally when you put your money in the bank pays you interest. The opposite is going to happen. If you keep your money in the bank, they're going to charge you to keep your money in the bank. That's how things have changed over the past several years, and if we just sit there and don't do anything, then again, shame on us. We're going to miss one of the greatest opportunities to make money that we've had in an awful long time. There's an old expression that calls the trend is your friend, and there's definitely a trend in the currency markets with the U.S. dollar going up and the Canadian dollar going down, and we need to take advantage of that, because if we sit there and we don't do anything, we're going to lose a major part of our net worth by just sitting there and not trading this market correctly. So I'm not talking about leveraging positions or doing anything risky. We're talking about converting and getting out of Canadian dollars before it falls to 50 cents. And if that's the case, we stand an opportunity to make an awful lot of money just converting our currency, let alone the private investments that my company offers to our Canadian clients, which have done extremely well. So, again, Randy, there's a lot happening. There's terrorist attacks all over the place. In London this week, in Paris again. I believe that President Trump is a very tough guy, but I believe that these countries are going to test him. I believe Russia is going to test him. I believe North Korea is going to test him. We certainly saw what he did with Syria a few weeks ago when he attacked there. He also is not afraid to drop bombs on Afghanistan and ISIS. So this guy is really concerned about the relationship with North Korea. And believe me, I know President Trump. I've been in his presence. Him and I have served on the same board for a big charity here in Florida. And I know the type of guy that he is. And he is not the type of guy to back down from confrontation. And if he believes that North Korea is threatening us, which they are, there's going to be repercussions. And if that is going to be the case, we need to be in two things, U.S. dollar and gold. Don't leverage it. Don't finance it. Get in touch with me and let me explain to you how you can own kilos of gold and not pay any commissions or spread on it. So, again, Randy, things are heating up here. They're getting very, very exciting. But, again, we need to keep our heads about us, and we need to make the right moves at this point. There's an opportunity to make an awful lot of money.
Mark this number down, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The call is free. Anything discussed with Harold is 100% confidential. The website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We'll talk about diamonds in the second half of the show. This week's featured diamond is a 1.67 radiant cut fancy light orangey pink. See it online at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have lots of diamond news. We'll talk about it in the second half of the show. Donald Trump will have been president of the United States for 100 days as of Saturday, April 29th. And usually in a presidency, that is a major mark. Where things go from here, as Harold was saying, we will have to see. On the geopolitical front, terrorist attacks continue around the world. There's concerns with North Korea. And then, of course, we in Canada know very well. He was saber-rattling regarding Canada. He put tariffs on Canadian lumber. That sent the loonie and the Mexican peso lower. He was going to rip up NAFTA and then received a call from Prime Minister Trudeau and the president of Mexico. And then he changed his mind and said, okay, I will negotiate with you regarding NAFTA, but if negotiations don't go well, that's it. I'm pulling the plug on NAFTA. So it seems that as a result of what's happening regarding the United States and the turf war that we're having with them, Canada and the United States, regarding NAFTA, the Canadian dollar is taking a hit. And it's interesting to note, the Canadian business channel BNN had Gary Shilling on, and he's an expert and analyst out of the United States. He said, and we do have this in our free weekly newsletter. Get our free weekly newsletter. Get it from Harold, 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022, the website rarecoloreddiamonds.com. The loonie to fall to 50 cents. He's the president of A. Gary Shilling and Company, and he talked about geopolitical risks, and he talked about the Canadian dollar taking a dive to 50 cents, and a lot of it is based on if we get into a turf war when it comes to trade with the United States, the Canadian dollar could really take a major dump. Another thing from the Canadian Business Channel, BNN, it will end in tears. One currency analyst says that a drop in housing prices will hurt the Canadian dollar. Last week on our show, we talked about the new restrictions that were put in place by the Ontario government, 16 new housing measures last week, similar to what they did in British Columbia. And the man's name is Adam Button. He's the chief currency analyst at Forex Live. He told BNN in an interview there's a clear link between the future of the loonie and home prices in Canada, particularly in hot markets like the GTA, Greater Toronto Area. There will be losses, he said, predicting a drop in home prices, and I think the trade is on the Canadian dollar. The first trade anyway, because you don't know where the losses are going to be. But they will be in Canada, and it will be brutal once it finally happens. The two things that are certain in a housing bubble, when it starts to bust, it's denial, he added. There will be denial, and there will be denial in prices and in the market. And the other thing that is certain is it will end in tears. And where the losses are, and the shape of it, and the timing of it, it's extremely difficult to predict. But as we said, the Ontario government introduced 16 new housing measures last week to attempt to cool the GTA's hot housing market. Toronto saw a 33% increase in average home prices last month, sparking concern among leaders in the province. It's just madness, Button said of the soaring prices. It's like the Dutch tulip bulb phase here, and it will end. And he's saying it will end in tears. And Harold, you add that together, the concerns with the housing market in Vancouver and Toronto, and you add that together with Trump now going at Canada regarding cheese and milk, the dairy farmers. He's going after the dairy farmers in particular. He was in Wisconsin and was going after Canada. And then we know what he did with the lumber. He put a tariff on lumber companies, different lumber companies in Canada. He was going to throw NAFTA out the door and decided to give them a chance to negotiate with him. The two countries involved, obviously Canada and Mexico. So, Harold, if these things start to play out, it's very, very easy to see a 65-cent Canadian dollar. And if it gets really bad, like Schilling said, and I really hope this does not happen as a Canadian who lives in Edmonton, I do not want to see a 50-cent Canadian dollar. That would be absolutely devastating to Canadians everywhere. But a way to make money, as Harold has said, get some of your Canadian dollars into U.S. dollars, be in U.S. assets that are paying you monthly in U.S. dollars. That's a way to make money during these current times. And Harold, we have the Canadian dollar around 73 cents, down a penny during the week.
Exactly as we thought would happen. Again, when you start playing with and manipulating markets like they're doing with the real estate market, you're playing with fire, and it's going to blow up in their face. Just think about it. Real estate going up 33% in 1 month, that's absolutely unheard of. It's a bubble that has to explode. And the unfortunate thing is that it's the general public that always gets in at the wrong time. They get in at the end because they think that they're missing out on making money. Now you're in a situation to where they're artificially bringing down the price of real estate, which is going to hurt the banks, which are already in big trouble. Don't forget Bill C-15. This is all falling into place. This is a trend that we saw happening, and we brought your attention a few years ago. We've been getting our clients out of Canadian dollars for the last several years, but now it's paramount. We've got an opportunity not only to get out of Canadian dollars, but get into the strongest currency, which is U.S. dollar, and then on top of that, get into some of my private investments that are paying over 24-25% a year. So you need to give me a call. I speak to several clients every single day. Almost all of my clients are from Canada. I'm Canadian. Randy is Canadian. Please don't think that we're trashing the Canadian economy or the Canadian dollar. This is not something that we did. This is something that we predicted was going to happen because of other measures that politicians are making. And it's right there in front of our face. There's nothing that you can do about changing what they're planning to do. All you can do is change your investment portfolio so you don't get hammered by this. Again, we work way too hard to lose our money based on what politicians' decisions that they're making for us. Give me a call. I'll speak to everybody who calls. I don't care how much money you have. The fact is that most of my clients are not Warren Buffett-type clients. Most of my clients are hard-working, everyday Canadians. They just want a shot. You can't make it by keeping your money in the bank at 0.5% because obviously 0.5% is nothing. And soon interest rates in Canada are going to go negative, as I explained before. On top of that, there's other scenarios in place at this point that could hurt you tremendously. And if you ever want to be able to retire, you're not going to be able to retire doing things the way people did 10, 20 years ago. You need to get with the program at this point, and we need to reposition your investments so you can take advantage of the trends that we've been recommending for quite a long time now. This show has been on for 17 years. There's a reason it's been popular for that period of time. We've called some of the biggest trends in all markets. We called the trend in gold when nobody else did. back in 2000, when gold was at $250, we said to buy gold, sell everything else and buy gold at $250. And it went all the way to 1900. It was the largest bull market in history. It lasted 11 years. We have clients that became multimillionaires because of gold and that run. And now we've got another opportunity. We have a phenomenal gold program. It's a physical gold program. No financing, no leverage, no risk as far as losing more than what you put in. Our programs are safe. You can be able to buy gold, which we believe is getting ready to rally again, and there's no fees and there's no commissions, and you're actually owning the physical metal. If you want to learn about that, either call in for free information or go to one of our websites, and we'll call you back next week and get free information to you on gold. We believe gold could be one of the next best bull markets, but there is no doubt that we need to be in the U.S. dollar, and out of Canadian dollar-based investments, retirement savings plans will do nothing for you. You need to speak to me so I can help you understand what the potential is for you to make money moving forward. And this is a very exciting time if you're on the right side of the fence. If you're not, it's a very scary time, and we want to make certain that our Canadian clients come out of this doing extremely well.
Speak with Harold Siegel. Give him a call, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. As we mentioned, Donald Trump in office as President of the United States for 100 days as of yesterday, Saturday, April 29. And in an interview with Reuters, Trump warned that a major conflict with North Korea is possible if diplomatic solutions fail. The president, who said in the interview that he's finding the job more difficult than he had expected, is struggling to achieve as much as he had wanted during the first 100 days of his administration. And one of the things that he said in there, that it's not easy being president when you're living in the presidential bubble, and that is what you hear from a lot of U.S. presidents. But it is interesting to note, he talked about a major conflict with North Korea possible if there is no diplomatic solution. One of the offshoots of what happened during the week with, actually last week, with the Ontario government putting in place curbs to stop the housing market from completely having a meltdown when it comes to being a full-out bubble. Home Capital is a company here in Canada, and they're facing regulatory action against both the company and former executives. They saw their shares down 57% in one day on Wednesday, and they actually saw $600 million pulled out of their high-interest saving account balances in recent weeks. It's up to, actually, as of today, $1.5 billion. And the credit line they're looking for to keep alive is around $2 billion. But they've written a lot of mortgages here in Canada, and as a result of what's happening here in Canada with the real estate market, people concerned, you can see those people that are stockholders getting out of it in a major way, and those with the high interest saving accounts getting out as well. Action, reaction. Learn more about investing in hard assets, gold, also diamonds. Speak with Harold Siegel, 1-800-432-1022, the website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Going to come back and talk about diamonds. As the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us via the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping our show on April 28th of Friday, 2017. Our time is 9:06 Mountain. We run normally 3 o'clock in the afternoon on 6:30 CHED. Today we're on from 1 until 2. At 2 o'clock, it's the Oilers Face-Off Show. Oilers playing the Ducks tonight, Game 3. And good luck to the Oilers and everyone heading to the game tonight at 5 o'clock. The Orange Crush will no doubt be a major force. All the fans at the game. And even here, when there are games in Edmonton and it's just on the big screen, Harold, they sold out all the tickets at Rogers Place in 30 minutes for Game 3 just to go sit in the stadium and watch the big screen. And, the game wasn't even going to be played. You can see how people are just absolutely in love with the Oilers, and it's just so exciting to be in Edmonton right now. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. If you ever miss a radio show, they're archived on Harold's website, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. We have a podcast through iTunes. Type in The World Financial Report on Radio. You will find us there. Our featured diamond of the week from rarecoloreddiamonds.com is a 1.67 radiant cut, fancy light orangey pink. It's a beautiful color. See it online, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. And it was an outstanding month for colored diamonds. And the reason we say that, Sotheby's sold the Pink Star, one of the world's greatest natural treasures, April the 4th, 2017, Hong Kong, China. It sold for a record price of $71.2 million in a bidding war. 59.60 carat pink diamond sold for that record price, $71.2 million, to Chow Tai Fook. They renamed it, the jewelry company out of China, the CTF Pink. It was a bidding war, and it's one of the greatest diamonds, rare-colored diamonds on the planet. So we're very excited to announce that. And Harold, yes, it has been a very good start to 2017 with diamonds at auction. We saw it last year with blues. Blues are very, very rare again. They're increasing in price every day. And when the Argyle mine shuts down in Australia, Western Australia, pink diamonds, 90 to 95% of the world's pink diamonds come from the Argyle mine. We're going to see some major shortages and some big price increases.
You better believe it. Again, it's a very good time for alternative assets and hard assets because, again, people are so confused about what's happening in the marketplaces all over the world. You know, the stock market in the U.S. is strong at this point, not because the U.S. economy is overly strong. It's because it's the only game in town. There was so much money sitting on the sidelines in Europe and in the U.S. and all over the world that the only place to put it was really into the U.S. at this particular point. Every other country seems to be hurting. But again, the currency markets you really have to watch, and that's another reason why you want to invest in an asset like a colored diamond, because it could be sold in other currencies, and it's portable private wealth. You know, the fact is when Greece had a lot of problems last year, and people couldn't get to the banks and people couldn't get to the ATMs, and it was wreaking havoc on the banking systems and everything, and people were panicking. The fact is that if you had a diamond, you could have crossed the border, and you could have gotten cash for that. There's very few assets in the world that can do what a colored diamond or a good quality diamond can do. And that's why these diamonds are selling for such unbelievable levels at this particular time. Blues have gone over the last 10 to 12 years. They have literally gone from $200,000 to $4 to $5 million a carat on certain diamonds. On the important vivid blue diamonds, I've never seen a market go higher than that. And now we've got a situation where pink diamonds are going to make a huge move because, as Randy just mentioned, the Argyle mine is going to close in less than 3 years. And again, the next major trend in diamonds is in green diamonds. That's where we've been dealing in, and that's where we've been mining recently, because we believe that greens are the next blues, and we see an opportunity there to make a fortune of money. Problem is that there's very, very few of them available. That's why they're going to be priced so substantially. Last year we saw the Aurora green, one of the only vivid green diamonds in the world. Actually, it was a 5 carat, sell for $15 million, over $3 million a carat, and we believe the prices are only going to go up from there. So, again, when the paper asset markets are in this type of trouble, and when you've got a real estate market in Canada, for example, that's being manipulated by the government and being taxed to foreign, these are not good situations. These markets should be able to trade on their own volition. When the government gets involved and starts manipulating these markets, bad things happen. You don't want to be in the Canadian real estate market at this particular point. Again, only bad things are going to happen, and along with that, the Canadian dollar is just going to plummet. So why would you want to stay? Do you realize that if the Canadian dollar continues to fall, how difficult it's going to be for you to be able to travel? It's going to cost you 2,000 Canadian to buy $1,000 American. That is not conducive to a good traveling situation and a good conversion situation. So, again, please get in touch with me. I've got the answers to your problems. And the fact is that there's time to do extremely well in these markets. We believe that worldwide that diamonds are going to do and continue to do extremely well. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to invest in the diamond market. You can get involved in yellow flawless diamonds for $20,000, $25,000. Those type of markets, sure, they're longer term, but so are most investments. When you put away your retirement savings plans, you're putting it away for 20, 30, 40 years. The same could be done with a diamond. In fact, with my grandchildren and children growing up, I've always given them diamonds. I've never put away stocks or bonds or mutual funds or anything like that for them because I don't believe in those. What I do believe in are assets that you can put your hands on, that you can own and touch and enjoy and deal with. That is not paper. These are real assets that you own outright that are with you. Don't forget what happened with Shirley Temple's diamond. It was bought in 1940s. For approximately $7,000. It was held within the family. Sure, it was for 76 years, but the fact is it was bought for $7,000 and sold for $25 million. There's no assets in the world that could do what a rare colored diamond can do. The longer you hold them, the more they go up. Along with that, ours are priced in U.S. dollars. So yes, there's a conversion from Canadian to American. But the fact is that if the American continues to go higher and higher and higher, and the Canadian goes lower and lower and lower, when we convert these, there's a lot of money to be made, not only on the diamond going up in value, but also on the currency. And that's what we bring to our clients, the opportunity to profit on these situations in the currency markets. I've traded currencies for over 35 years now, and I know the currency markets very well. We've called some of the biggest trends in currencies that have ever been called, and our clients have profited from them, and I believe the one that we're heading into right now is going to be the best and the biggest of all. Don't just sit there and get eaten up financially by decisions that the governments and the politicians are making for you. Jump on board with us and convert your Canadian to American and start making some real money in the markets. Again, it's going to change your lifestyle.
Connect with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. The call is free, 1-800-432-1022. Anything discussed, 100% confidential. Harold has programs in place where you can start making money today. As we've said before, if you're sitting in a GIC at 1%, using the rule of 72, it would take 72 years for your money to double. Almost impossible to retire under that scenario. Find out what programs Harold has for you, where you can be investing in U.S. dollars. And if we are correct, along with many, many other analysts calling for a 64, 65 cent Canadian dollar, even shilling in our show today saying 50 cents, God forbid. But if we get to those levels, those that have transferred money from Canadian to American today are going to be in a very good position. And then on top of it, be in investments that pay you in U.S. funds. Harold has those. Speak with him personally, privately, 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com. There was a sale. Sotheby's had a sale in New York during the week, and it was interesting to note a pear-shaped 11.19 carat fancy pink internally flawless diamond pendant went for $2.4 million or $215,594 per carat. Another colored diamond, this one an emerald cut, 5.07 carat fancy gray blue actually, VVS2 clarity, brought in $1.6 million or $310,158. We do have those auction results in our free weekly newsletter. We have the auction results from the Pink Star, when the Pink Star was auctioned off in Hong Kong, April the 4th. We have a story in our free weekly newsletter about Apollo and Artemis diamonds being sold May in Geneva, Switzerland by Sotheby's. And these are two of the most outstanding diamonds, a blue and a pink diamond that are earrings that could go for approximately $70 million. Also, Bonhams is going to be selling a green diamond. And the FCRF, and they are the Fancy Color Research Foundation, they came out with a report this week. Supply shortages lift blue diamond prices. Blue diamonds outperformed the rest of the fancy colored market in the first quarter as demand for the rare stones continued to drive prices. According to the FCRF, the price index for the blue fancy colored diamond grew 1.9% from the previous quarter and jumped 5.7% from a year ago. And one of the things that they're saying, highly coveted, fancy, intense, and vivid blues are challenging to find in the market, while interest and demand for these categories continues to grow. There's increasing interest in other colors, obviously, as well. You have the yellows, you have the pinks, the greens. It's just one of those markets that is very, very hot right now. And they go on to say that there are declines in the fancy-colored market. As a result, it's driving prices and scarcity. Check out this article. We'll be happy to send it to you. And, Harold, that's one of the things that we're consistently hearing, price increases based on scarcity.
You better believe it. Again, this is not something that's a mass market. You're talking very, very few. When you're talking about, for example, pink diamonds from the Argyle mine, you're talking about that they actually take 55 diamonds from the Argyle tender, and that's the entire tender. 50 to 55 diamonds. You're talking about a market that is so tiny that these diamonds don't even fill a champagne flute. So you're talking about owning something extremely rare, rarer than rare, and that's why the prices do nothing but go up. Now, not all colored diamonds are investment quality. In fact, most diamonds aren't. If you're buying yellow diamonds, they've got to be of good color and good clarity, like flawless type of thing. Blues and pinks and oranges and greens and reds are the rarest, but blues are the highest priced at this point, and soon you're going to see the same scenario with oranges and greens. So, again, this is a very exciting time. We have an opportunity to do very well instead of just sitting there like a deer with, in the headlights type of thing. We need to make some aggressive moves at this point and solidify our financial future, because if we don't, these markets are going to overtake you, and there's no reason for it. We can see the trend. The trend is right there in front of us. We need to be in the U.S. dollar. We need to be in hard assets. We need to be out of paper assets like stocks, mutual funds, and those type of things. And I think our future is very, very bright.
Our featured diamond this week. Call Harold, 1-800-432-1022, rarecolordiamonds.com, the website to find out more about a 1.67 radiant cut, fancy light orangey pink. See a video of it online, rarecolordiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. But if you take a look at what's happening in the United States, not only Trump obviously hitting 100 days, he's trying to get many things passed, and he's struggling. He did get, obviously, Gorsuch on the Supreme Court of the United States. He's coming after Canada now. We thought Mexico was the big target all this time, and who is he going after first? Good old Canada. We're supposedly robbing the United States blind when it comes to softwood and dairy products. And then the NAFTA negotiations could be quite interesting as well. And we'll have to wait and see how that plays out, because Trump has said, and he said it yesterday, that he is willing to just pull the plug on NAFTA. At that point, it would be interesting to see how that would affect the Canadian dollar. And there are people like Gary Shilling, as we said off the top of the show. He said we could be facing a 50-cent Canadian dollar. If you don't believe what we're saying, get our free weekly newsletter. Video of that interview from BNN is in there. We also had the story from BNN. Adam Button, chief currency analyst at Forex Live, he's saying that the housing market in GTA, Greater Toronto, as a result of those government interventions, 16 new housing measures as of last week. You could see a major bubble in Toronto real estate end in tears. I know that where my sister lives in Vancouver, in the neighborhood that she's in, there was a home that sold for $200,000 under the asking price. And before the curbs went into place in Toronto, there was a story this week that I saw. There was a home that sold for $1 million over asking price in Toronto. So you can see once these curbs come into place, we're starting to see the ramifications in Vancouver. When these curbs come into place in Toronto, Harold, kitty bar the door, it could get very, very interesting.
You better believe it. You're going to see a lot of people panicking and starting to liquidate real estate, and the prices are going to plummet. This is what happens when you jump into something at the very end. It's called a bubble. It's happened in stocks and real estate before and other markets like that. It's the worst thing that you could possibly do. You know, it's very interesting that when you see a real estate market like in Toronto and in Vancouver and see the prices going up 33% in a month, again, you go out there and you think that you know the real estate business. But 90% of the people don't know the real estate business. That's why they end up losing on it. So I think this is a very dangerous time. It's not a time to be speculating. And the fact is that this is not going to end well. So please don't speculate at these particular points. There's opportunities to make money in other areas. Get in touch and let me explain to you what our opportunities are, because again, we've given you great advice in the past, and we see a big trend coming in the currency markets that is here right now that is going to explode. You need to be involved in it if you're going to make money moving forward. Otherwise, if the Canadian dollar drops to 50 cents, that basically means you'll be spending 2,000 Canadian to buy 1,000 American. Try going on vacation or traveling with a currency market like that. However, we could turn that into a very profitable situation if you give us a call and let us explain to you how we do that.
Connect with Harold, 1-800-432-1022. RareColoredDiamonds.com is the website. And one thing we need to reiterate, sometimes we've been accused of being like pessimistic on the show, negative. It's not about optimism or pessimism. It's about realism. And one of the things I've been so proud of during the time that Harold and I have done this show together, we have been realistic. We've been honest with you in our reporting of the facts that we're seeing. As a result, we saw gold go from $250 all the way to $1,900. Silver go from $3 to almost up to $50, $49. Oil at $20 all the way to almost $150. We saw the euro at 87 cents all the way up to $160. Many other winners as well, including rare colored diamonds that Harold has called. And it's not about us not loving Canada. I love Canada. I'm an Edmontonian. I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone financially. That's why we do the radio show. We want you to make money. And Harold is just as committed to helping you make money. No one wants to see anybody do poorly, but we're in a situation where we need to be realistic where we find ourselves. And as Harold said, we can't dilly-dally, as he was saying to me in between our break there at the bottom of the hour. We can't dilly-dally. We need to make a move and be committed to the move and let the markets play out as we see. Gary Schilling calling for a 50-cent loonie, potentially, depending on what happens in the market. You have, as we mentioned before, on B&M, Adam Button, chief currency analyst at Forex Live, thinking that the housing market in the GTA is going to end in tears. It's at the Dutch tulip bulb phase, and it will end, and it's just a madness. It will end in tears. And we do not want that for any of our listeners. We want you to be making money. We don't want you to be hurt financially. So speak with Harold. Find out what he has available for you to invest in. 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And Harold, we've heard from a lot of different analysts, and we've reported on them saying during the first 4 or 5 months of this year, get out of the Canadian dollar, have some money in the U.S. dollar. The Canadian dollar is going down. And with Trump doing what he's doing regarding NAFTA, going after the farmers, going after, obviously, the softwood industry, it's very concerning and could drive, along with the housing market, drive the Canadian dollar down further to levels that at this point we really don't know where it's going to go, but much lower is obviously, I remember, as I've said many times, 2001, Canadian dollar was at 64 cents U.S. when I was in Maui on a holiday. And a friend of mine was reminding me of that just the other day. Back in 2001, she said it was 62, 63, and I said, you're right. It was about 64 cents when we were in Maui. So, Harold, a lot of people are predicting 64 cents, and I would not be surprised to see that at all.
Me neither, because there is support in the market at 64 cents, but if that's broken, it could easily free fall, because in the futures markets there's stops right below that. So again, I've traded these markets for 35 years. I certainly wouldn't recommend something that I do not believe is going to work out for our clients and listeners. So again, if it's going to happen, and it's happening right now, right in front of our very eyes, we should take advantage of that. It's a trend that's going to be around for a few years now, so it's not something that is going to be here and gone within a week or two. This is a trend, just like gold that lasted 11 years. This could go on for a long time. The other thing is, don't keep a lot of money in the bank. If you don't know about C-15 bill, it means that the Canadian-owned banks that the Canadian government owns, the Canadian government, if those banks get in trouble, are not going to support them. They're going to let you support them. That means that if you've got $500,000 sitting in a bank account, and that bank account is only insured up to $100,000, that bank gets in trouble, don't expect the Canadian government to bail the bank out. You're going to do it. They're going to take your $400,000 and pay off the debts of the bank and give you worthless shares in the bank. If you're not familiar with C-15 bill, you need to be familiar with it, because, again, most people keep money in the bank, and banks in Canada, believe it or not, are not safe. And now that the real estate market is in disarray and the Canadian dollar is plummeting and oil is not a strong commodity, really watch out. There's some roadblocks there that could hurt you substantially. Again, it doesn't matter how much money you have. Get in touch with me, and I'll explain to you what your options are and what you could do, and it doesn't matter how much time. I'll spend that time with you. All Randy and I want is for the listeners to our show, and this show has been on for over 17 years now. We want you to understand what your options are and what you could do to reach financial health. Again, there's some very strong trends happening that we need to be in at this time.
Speak with Harold. The call is free. Anything discussed is 100% confidential. 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And definitely go take a look at our featured diamond of the week. Go to rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Take a look around, and you will see our featured diamond, a 1.67 radiant cut, fancy light, orangey pink. See video of it there at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, featured diamond of the week. And now is the time with what's happening in Canada. This is, I think, just sort of a little bit of a preview from what we saw with Home Capital, the housing market in Toronto getting spooked, Trump making his move on Canada regarding NAFTA and trade. Now is the question you have to ask yourself: how do you invest today so you can retire tomorrow? That's why we do this radio program. And we want to connect with you. Harold will be happy to take your call, 1-800-432-1022. You can speak with him personally, privately. Connect with him at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. But now is the time. Do not sit back and wait. And that's one of the things we consistently hear. People say, well, I wished I would have gotten silver at $3 and went up to $49, or gold at $300 and went to $19.20. Well, and we're seeing the U.S. dollar here, Canadian dollar at 73, and if it goes to 65 or, God forbid, 50, don't be sitting on the sidelines going, I wished I would have. Harold, we have about 15 seconds left here.
You bet. Again, there's opportunities out there, but it is not the time to speculate. To take unnecessary risks is the wrong thing to do at this point. give us a call. We'll explain what your options are. There's opportunities, and we need for you to take advantage of them.
Thank you very much, Harold Siegel.
It's my pleasure, Randy. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day, and go Oilers.
Yes, go Oilers against the Ducks tonight. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on Radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.